What's going on YouTube? Spun FPV Canada here, and today we're going to be doing a review and installation of the Matek F722-Wing Flight Controller. We're going to be running this thing on 6S, and we're going to be putting it into a C1 chaser wing. The other components that we're going to be using are a TBS Crossfire and an Akk Ultimate VTX. We're also going to be running a Cobra motor, CP2814 1450 kV motor, and an 80 amp ESC. So the first thing that we're going to do with the F722 Wing Flight Controller is we're going to flash the firmware. So you're going to need a laptop for this, and you're going to need INAV. We're going to flash it to the latest firmware, which is 2.2.1. So plug the flight controller into the computer. Go to the firmware flasher page on INAV. For the F722 Wing Flight Controller, the target is Matek F722-SE. Click on that. Choose the firmware that we're going to be using. We're going to be using the 2.2.1 stable release, which is the newest one. Load the firmware online and flash the firmware. So this takes about a minute to do. Okay, once it's done, we can connect to the board. Now the first thing that we're going to need to do is go into calibration before the flight controller is even in the wing, because it makes it easier. We're going to calibrate the accelerometer. So to do that, we go to the accelerometer, to the calibration page, click calibrate accelerometer. So first we're going to lay the board flat. We click the calibrate accelerometer button again. Next we're going to put it upside down. It's good to have a flat surface to do this on. So hold it upside down. Press the calibrate accelerometer button. Next we're going to do it on the right side. Left side. Nose up. Nose down. It doesn't matter the sequence that you do it in, as long as you complete all the 6 sequences. Flat again. Okay, it's done. So the next thing we want to do is we want to go to the configuration tab. Actually, we want to go to the mixer tab, and we want to change this from multi-rotor to airplane. We want to choose flying wing because we're putting it in a C1 chaser. Load and apply. Save and reboot. So now our platform's a airplane and it's a fixed wing. So servo 1 and 2 is for the motors. 3 is for the left side, 4 is for the right side. So we got to remember that when we're plugging in our servos and our ESC. So the next thing we want to do, I like to go to presets and choose the Flying Wing Z84 because it's similar to the C1 Chaser. Apply that, save and reboot. Now we want to go to ports. We're going to choose, so here it has UART2 as RX. So UART3, UART6, we're going to add the GPS to UART6. So click that, save and reboot. UART3 we're going to use for smart audio. So go to peripherals and choose TBS Smart Audio because that's what the Akk VTX uses. Click save and reboot. Go to configuration. Because we're going to be using a TBS Crossfire, we want to select that here. So we select TBS Crossfire. So now that we have the power wire ESC and pins soldered up to the flight controller, I've added the GPS and I'm mounting it on top of the flight controller, and it's connected to the appropriate pins, which is UART6. So now we can install this into the plane. So the first thing we need to do is connect the ESC. I put Velcro on the bottom of the ESC to secure it to the plane. So now we can connect the left servo, which goes into the servo number 1 or S1 pins. The right servo goes into S2, servo number 2. The VTX Smart Audio goes to UART3 because that's how we set it up. And the VTX gets connected to the VTX pins. Next we have the camera, which is connected to C1 or camera number 1. Next we have the TBS Crossfire, which gets connected to UART2. And the 5-volt for the Crossfire, I'm just going to connect to one of the 5-volt rails. Okay. And last is the buzzer. I'll put up my wiring diagram on the screen right now so you can see how I have it wired. And now we can go into INAV and finish the configuration. So now we can go back into INAV and finish configuring the plane. So plug the flight controller in. Connect to INAV. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to configuration. We're going to enable the motors and the servos. We're going to go down. I have the board turned 180 degrees. So we're going to change that. Enable the GPS. Capacity of my battery is 3000 mAh. And we're going to disable black box because we don't have an SD card in the flight controller, so there's no point of having it on. Save and reboot. Next we're going to go to failsafe. We're going to change the failsafe to return to home. Save and reboot. Next we're going to go to advanced tuning. We're going to change the return to home from always land to never land. And we'll change the altitude to 80 meters. Save and reboot. Next we're going to go to receiver tab. We're going to change this to JR spectrum because that's how I have my radio set up. I have RSSI on channel 8. Save that. At this point we can turn the radio on.
Welcome to OpenTX.
And plug the battery in to get power to the and check. Yep, everything's working. So the switches that I have, so channel 5 is going to be for flight modes. Channel 7 is going to be for return to launch failsafe. And channel 6 is going to be ARM. So let's go to modes, ARM, channel 6. Flight modes, we're going to add horizon mode in the middle position of channel 5. We're going to add return to home on channel 7 in the down position. I'm going to add manual mode, channel 5 in the up position. And we're going to add auto tune to channel 5 in the down position, just for our maiden. Save that. And we're going to add bieber to channel 6 in the down position. So let's test that. Okay, that works. So next, we're going to go to the motor tab and we're going to do a motor ESC calibration. So unplug that, unplug the battery.
Telemetry lost.
Go to the motors tab. Set this to max throttle. Plug the battery in.
Telemetry recovered.
Now we can test the motor. It spins, make sure it's spinning in the right direction. Yes, it is. Counterclockwise in my situation because I'm using a pusher prop. Now we can disconnect the battery. Go to the OSD tab.
Telemetry lost.
And set up your OSD however you want. I'm going to change this to NTFC because I'm using NTFC. So battery voltage, I like to have it on the bottom of the screen. Altitude here on the right. MAHs used. Satellites top left. Throttle bottom left. Amp draw. Underneath voltage. Mode top left. GPS speed. Left hand side. RSSI, top middle, and we want to add VTX channel. VTX band and channel. Put that in the top left. And the VTX power level. And last is the GPS coordinates and distance to home and the home arrow, direction to home, distance to home, trip distance, longitude and latitude. Load down here. And that's it. The last thing we need to do is go to the configuration tab. We're going to lift the nose a little bit because the plane doesn't fly flat. There's a little bit of a lift in the pitch axis, and we're going to add about 5 or 6 degrees. And we also need to reverse one of the servos. So we go to the servo tab, plug the plane in.
Telemetry recovered.
So it looks like servo number 3 needs to be reversed. Save that. So now when I pull down, both are going down. When I push up, both are going turn right. The right hand side goes up, left, the left hand side goes up. And we're done.